The driving force behind IT skills training. CompuTeach, sponsors of Pulling Power.
This week on Pulling Power, posh cars for posh people. Mike and I get our grubby hands on BMW's luxury new limo and find out how adding £250,000 worth of optional extras buys you a car that can survive just about anything. Plus, we check out how the rest of us can enjoy a bit of top-notch luxury, safety and performance for much more sensible money, as Renault launches a swanky version of its Modus and a bonkers hot Megane. And for those of you who can't read maps, we'll be testing the very latest in personal sat-navs.
Hello and welcome to Pulling Power. We're in the heart of Oxfordshire at the Formula One factory with Williams, and we're not here to test their latest Formula One car. No, we're here to test a road car. That's the new BMW 7 Series.
Well, he says that, but we're going to be backseat drivers. We're going to be in the rear. We're going to have a chauffeur up front. They tell us we're going to have our very own Parker.
Good morning, Parker.
Good morning.
Actually,
Lovely. Thank you.
I've been told his name's Stan. Hello, Stan.
Good morning.
Well, this is what it's all about, isn't it, Michael?
Well, I don't know, because I am the world's worst backseat driver. Having said that, if you're going to be in the back of anything,
You want to be in the back of this, don't you?
you want to be in the back of one of these.
It's a very big, comfortable, big plush leather chair for us both to sit on. It's nicely finished off inside. We've got leather door inserts. And me and Mike absolutely hate fake plastic bits, but this car has got some nice real wood inside it.
BMW are great at giving you things that don't cost you anything. One of the things they do is they'll take an ashtray, the smoking kit, out of the car, if you like, and they won't charge you for it. They'll take something out and they won't charge you. Just think about that. One thing you will pay for in this car, at the back here, we've got a nice little entertainment system. They call it the rear entertainment package.
And it's all driven by this thing when we pull it down in the middle.
£2,450.
Blimey, yes, very costly options. But look what you do get. You get the what they call their iDrive system. I can select a DVD to watch, select my own different music. Also, look at how well Stan, our driver, is performing at the moment. Stan is doing a consumption of 33.6 miles to the gallon. And
Yeah.
good job too.
Well, except that we're paying for the fuel stand, so we'd like that upped to about 36.6. We want a 10% improvement on fuel. We've got all sorts of other information here about Stan as well. We can't.
We can't tell you what it says.
But we know more about him than he knows about himself.
This, as you quite rightly pointed out, Michael, BMW tell us that the chances are if you're going to buy one of these, you're going to be pedalling the car rather than sitting in the back. And to be honest with you, that's what I fancy doing. As much as I like Stan and the way he drives his car.
P45?
Yeah.
In the
Stan?
In the Oxfordshire countryside?
We think you're a lovely fella, Stan. But unfortunately, me and him, we're car reviewers. We want to test the car, so I've been dying to say this. You're fired. Stan, it's not too cold out there, is it? Because you forgot this.
Each week on Pulling Power, we like to give you a sneak preview of cars that are coming up in the future. Lexus are really pushing the boat out. This is the new IS. Now, previously, Lexus have never dipped into the lucrative diesel market, but now they feel they've got an engine refined enough to go and do that, and this is it in this car. It's called the 220 diesel. It pushes out 180 brake horsepower, and also, it's the cleanest diesel engine in the world. And look at it, sitting in this beautiful chassis.
Now here on Pulling Power, we're always on the lookout for automotive bargains, and I've found a couple of French floozies that'll, if you'll pardon the expression, give more bang for your bucks. Well, this could be very complicated, but I'll try and keep it simple. There's a 225 horsepower version of the Renault Megane, and it's not been selling as well perhaps as it should do. It's not excited people perhaps as much as it should do. And so they've decided to give it a bit of add a bit of spice, I suppose you could say. Now, I know what you're thinking. If this is the new look Renault Megane from the rear, why does it look so similar to the existing model? Well, the differences come, let me tell you, at the other end of the car. Well, just to remind you that you're in a very different 2-litre Renault Megane, we've got the little badge at the side here to tell you what you're in, or more importantly, to tell other drivers what you're in. Not that they need much reminding, because they'll see from the performance of this car. 18-inch anthracite wheels, goodbye alloy, these are the wheels to have. This is the new bling, I love them, and lovely deep, aggressive looking front end. This is a car that has a stability program that you can switch off, and you can therefore behave like a hooligan. Now that doesn't mean increasing the engine power. Stay with the 225 horsepower, but more important than that, what they've done is they've changed the chassis. So although we're driving a 225 horsepower car, this one enables you, quite frankly, to drive a bit more like a Fernando Alonso. But how much are Renault going to charge you for this sports car experience, along with a host of other extras? Well, unbelievably, only 500 notes above the standard car's price of about 20 grand. I mean, that's incredible value for money. That's the good news, only £500 more. That makes no economic sense from Renault's point of view. It makes an awful lot of sense from the point of view of the buyer, because that's a positive bargain. The bad news, sadly, this is a strictly limited edition, only 160 cars, so you'll have to be quick off the mark if you want to get your hands on one. But the good news for those who do is that because this is a limited edition, it could be worth almost as much second-hand as you paid for it new. What I like about it is that you can play the boring family man with a couple of kids in the back, because this is, at the end of the day, a mid-sized family hatchback. And then once you've dropped off the partner at the shops or wherever, you can have a little blast on your own and turn this family car into a real sports car, because that's what it is. It is a sports car. Although this car goes like a what's it off a shovel and looks great from the outside, the interior looks and feels really, really bland. Barely a sign of Renault's F1 heritage. They've definitely missed a trick here. Doesn't mean to say you need to blaze names everywhere. You know, there's nothing worse than... It's a bit like somebody with a piece of designer clothing. You don't need to say Scream Armani across your T-shirt or whatever, but a little reference to it somewhere might be nice. Now, if I was a little bit disappointed by the slightly understated interior inside the Megane Trophy, well, it's an entirely different story with this car. This is a version of the Modus, the little sort of MPV-like 5-seater that Renault are now doing. This is the Initial version, I think that's how they pronounce it. About 13.5 grand, and not too much to report in terms of driving experience, but the interior spec is a story in itself. The spec of this car is up to the same level as a Jaguar XJ6 with a 3-litre engine. For example, on this car you get double xenon headlamps. In the Jag, that's an option that costs well over £1,000, and so it goes on. Every sort of imaginable gadget, gizmo, electronic safety control, you name it, it's on this car. You can have this spec for 13.5 grand in the Modus, or you can have the same sort of spec in a Jag for nearer 40 grand. It's a no-brainer, isn't it? Well, you know, the way I see it, this is your 13 grand car for the commute to work, parking at the station, driving in the office or whatever. I'll do a solid job in traffic with all those gadgets and gizmos on there to play with. Remember, a tremendous spec for that sort of money. And then at weekends, you've got parked in your garage your Renault Megane Trophy that you're going to keep for many, many years. It will probably hold its price because it's a limited edition. The two of them come to about, what's that? I don't know. 33 grand, so that's a lot less than that Jag we talked about. In fact, you'd have 6 or 7 grand left over. So you get one of these, and a Caribbean cruise, and some spending money. Not a bad package.
Now, just because you're the kind of person who might chuck 50 grand at a new motor, doesn't mean you're happy to blow fivers up the exhaust pipe in fuel costs. So you'll probably opt for a diesel. Thankfully, this one's a cracker.
I mean, I can't believe it's a diesel.
It's incredibly refined. That's because BMW have lightened this engine. They've squeezed a bit more horsepower out of it. It used to be 200, I think, and 18 brake horsepower. It's now 231 brake horsepower. It's lighter, it's more fuel efficient, and they're using this new piezo crystal technology, which is a little bit too convoluted to explain to you, but basically it's a load of crystals dropping beads of fuel to the top of the cylinder head, and that makes the stroke much smoother and much more fuel efficient.
These people who say that diesel cars are no good and they'd never drive a diesel and they're not for proper drivers, I mean, they've either let their egos or their kind of macho kind of approach to life take over, or they're just plain ignorant as far as I'm concerned. They're just out of touch, because you could have said that 10 years ago. Today, the driving experience can be better. I'm actually desperate for a company like Porsche to bring a diesel engine
That'd be
car
stunning,
out.
wouldn't it?
And it will be good, and people will be driving Porsche Boxsters that are doing 30, 40 mpg.
Fantastic, eh?
And they'll be great to drive.
As you'd expect, for upwards of 50 grand, this car drives, rides and handles impeccably. It can also be bulletproofed. No, really. And after the break, we'll be finding out how £250,000 buys you the ultimate in personal protection. Plus, in the real world, we'll be revealing how the latest gizmos can give nervous navigators a helping hand.
Welcome back to Pulling Power, and we're still with the brand new BMW 7 Series. However, this one is slightly different, because this is for the really rich bloke who wants to hold on to his cash that little bit longer, or even for a politician who could be at the other end of a sniper's bullet.
This is the high security version of the 7 Series. In full spec, that means sort of bulletproof glass, bomb-proof if you like. We don't want to go into too many details because there are security issues with this vehicle. This could cost you up to £250,000 as opposed to £49,000 for the standard version. And is there good news or bad news about whether we can drive it? You tell me.
Well, we have got some good news. £250,000 car, and guess what? They're chucking us the keys.
You see, I know something that he doesn't know. In fact, what's happening, those very efficient Germans have lined up a very efficient but slightly bonkers test driver to take us out in this thing. We can't drive it, we've got to be passengers. I've had enough of being a passenger for one day. He's going in it, I'm going to empty a pot of coffee.
Coward. Dieter has worked for BMW for quite a few years, and this man is the evasive driving technique master, because he's going to show me what this big old beast can do. Take it away, Dieter.
Okay, hold tight.
Oh, wow, I'll tell you what, you wouldn't know you're in a car that weighs 3.5 tons. This car is 60% heavier than the standard BMW. It's also got a very standard engine, a 4.5 litre, but it's full, this car. Fantastic, Dieter. It's absolutely full of the latest technology. What we've got is oh, Dieter, this is scary. What we've got is bulletproof glass all the way round. We've got armour plating in the doors, and that's Kevlar inside the doors, so they're still quite light but very strong, Kevlar and steel. We've got beefed up suspension. We've also got the pack systems on the tyres, which means basically the tyres can get a puncture and they just will deflate but run flat. And Dieter tells me that the safest thing to do with this car, Dieter, if you are a captain of industry, if you're worth a load of money, the safest thing to do is to stay in the car.
Yes, if you stay in the car, you are very, very safe.
Oh, we're completely sideways. That's fantastic. He's laughing. He loves his job. He's got the best job in the world. What Dieter's saying, this car's got a fresh air system, which basically means if this car suffers any kind of, say, chemical attack, as long as you keep the windows up, you can survive quite happily in this car, Dieter, yeah?
Yes. And if you go outside, you are the best target for the attacker. If you're inside, you are protected.
The way you dance this car around is fantastic. It feels a lot lighter than it actually is. I want to go again, Dieter. This is so much fun. I could sit next to this guy all day. It's absolutely fantastic.
If, like me, you like the look of that tasty new BMW 7 Series, but also, like me, you don't have a 7-figure salary to go and buy one, then fear not, because they are appearing thick and fast on the used car market, but there's still things you need to look out for. The first of which is the alloy wheels. Now, these are the correct ones, 19 inches of pure alloy pleasure. But some unscrupulous dealers, believe it or not, took them off, kept them for themselves and put on 17 inches, and it looks completely wrong. Also, make sure you go for one in the right colour. This is silver, looks perfect for this car. Some people did buy them in white and even in red, and that's a complete no-no. Inside, oh, it all takes on a different stance. It's like stepping in to a gentleman's ballroom, but make sure it's got the right options. This one has got the dark wood. Looks fabulous. You can also get the aluminium. Looks cracking. Some people, though, went for light wood, and it looks like Formica. It's rubbish. Make sure the car also has got what they call the concourse package. Now, that's a guarantee on the car for 5 years, including servicing. The only thing that isn't covered are the tyres, and these things cost a fortune to maintain, so make sure it's got that. So what's this one worth? Well, you can forget the new price, because this one, 02 plate, 30,000 miles, believe it or not, £25,000. Get lost. Get lost. Yep, you can get lost, because getting lost can be fun. Take a look at this. That is a satellite, and there's dozens of them circling the Earth, and they're beaming information down to devices like this. This is my little GPS receiver, which in turn is beaming the information via Bluetooth to this. This is my PDA. They're probably having a chat right now and telling me where I should be or where I should be going.
Sat-nav might seem the stuff of sci-fi films, but trust me, everyone could use a helping hand from outer space.
With me, I've got Andrew Little from NavTech. He's the man in the know. He knows all about three-dimensional maps, or maps on how they get down onto the devices. How does it work?
Sat-nav works in two ways. One, the sensors in the vehicle take a signal from the satellite in space to determine exactly where the vehicle is to within about 10 metres on the roadway. The system in the car allows the driver to select a destination, and then the system works out how to get from that point to where the driver wants to go.
But the problem is with it, it's an in-car gadget. I've got it in my car, and it's fantastic. It gets me to where I want to go. I never get lost. I can scroll around the maps. I can zoom in, zoom out. I can put addresses in, even down to postcodes. But I can't move it from one vehicle to another vehicle. So this is where the future comes in. These days, you can get devices like the Garmin. Lovely bit of kit, sucker bounce onto the window screen. I can remove it and take it off and walk around with it. And it's for first-time users. It is like operating a Tomy toy. It's so simple. Big buttons, just push them with your finger. It's a touch-sensitive screen, and I can scroll down to where I want to go very, very, very simply. There she goes. She's going to calculate. I'll get a nice map. The only problem I've got with this one is, as bright as the screen goes,
5.1 miles north, then turn left.
And she's telling me to drive around a car park, is as bright as it is now, and in direct sunlight, it's a little bit difficult to see. However, only about 400 quid. Not bad at all, and it will get you to your destination. However, all of that has now come down, believe it or not, to your mobile phone. This software is called Route 66. It's about half the price of the Garmin, between £100 or £200. All you need is the software plus a little GPS receiver that comes in a box. They talk via Bluetooth. Now, the beauty of this is not only is it one device, it's your mobile phone, but you can walk around with it. So you go to a business meeting, get off a bus, get out of a tube, you don't know where to go, you can put that in your pocket, use your mobile phone, and it'll get you there. It is awesome.
These gadgets can place you on a map down to a couple of 100 metres and store enough data to navigate you from Leicester to Lisbon every step of the way. Amazing. But have you ever wondered how the maps get into these devices in the first place? Well, I've decided to find out. And it's all down to vehicles like this.
This is Jackie. Graham is our driver, and what we're doing is putting along in the car. Jackie looks like a space cadet because she is
wired and tuned in to a laptop computer with, it looks like a game controller, and you're actually discovering new places and different junctions. Is that correct?
The whole towns, all the maps in the UK, every single road, every single roundabout, every single street, we map.
We're just about to pull into a new factory, or a new estate, should I say, that's not on your map. So for real, you're actually gonna do this, are you?
Yeah, for real. We've got the main central road here. We just turned it to Sandhills Avenue. It's spelled Sandhills, all one word, Sandhills.
With Jackie's up-to-date info, you can ask your sat-nav to find you the quickest, shortest, or if road pricing ever happens, the cheapest way home. But only if you keep your device updated with the latest info.
And we're back on Sandhills Avenue again here.
And that's the problem with it. Sat-nav's been around for 10 years, and most people don't bother updating their maps very often. And if you start trying to turn down roads that aren't there, then, well, this clever little gizmo becomes worse than useless. Trouble is, new sets of discs can cost 10 times the price of a new paper atlas. So, what's the answer?
There is a real challenge in trying to get the most current information about the world around us to the driver. What we hope for the future is that that information and information that goes with it, like restaurant directories or cinema directories, can be provided as the driver requires it. So it would be delivered in real time so that your information can be as up-to-date as possible.
This satellite navigation stuff is wicked. I'm hooked. It's the thing that will get you absolutely anywhere. I'll never get lost again. And if you're interested in more satellite navigation technology, then get yourself down to the National Space Centre in Leicester, where they're holding an exhibition right now. Well, me and Mike are mightily impressed with the new BMW 7 Series. This greenhouse dome roof, this controversial shape has grown on us as the show's gone on. We also like what they've done with the front. They've shortened it and they've made it a lot fatter, and it gives it more presence on the road. It's a good-looking car.
I tell you, it's quite regal as well, and let's not forget, it's a great driver's car. Now, in case you're out there wondering whether you should go for one of these or maybe an S-Class Merc Audi A8, let me tell you, if this is anything to go by, this is very interesting. In Germany, this outsells the Merc, this outsells the Audi, and there has never been a more popular time for the 7 Series. It's selling better than it's ever sold. Bear that in mind before you compare it with the opposition.
That's it for me and Mike. We look forward to seeing you next time on Pulling Power.